Kale Ren woke with a start. His head throbbed, his muscles ached, and the world around him shimmered with an unnatural glow. The ceiling above pulsed with soft, iridescent lights, casting long shadows that moved like liquid. He tried to sit up, but something restrained him, a faint, almost invisible force pressing him gently but firmly against the floor. "Where am I?" he muttered, his voice hoarse. The metallic scent of the room was sharp, sterile, and faintly electric. Every instinct in him screamed danger, but curiosity gnawed at the edges of his fear. A soft hum resonated through the chamber. Kale's eyes darted to the source, and then he saw her. She stepped through a shimmering doorway like she belonged to another dimension. Her skin glimmered faintly under the alien lights, a delicate balance of silver and violet tones. Her eyes, large, luminous, and almost hypnotic, locked onto him. There was a spark there, not just curiosity, but something more, dangerous, magnetic, and deeply intelligent. "You're awake," she said, her voice melodic, almost floating in the air. "Good, that will make the experiment easier." Kale's brow furrowed. "Experiment?" he croaked, his throat dry. I don't understand. Who are you?" She tilted her head, studying him like a scientist examining a specimen. "I am Irina," she replied. "And you are my subject, a human specimen rare in this sector. Your physiology, your reactions, they are intriguing." "Subject," Kale repeated, panic rising. He tested the invisible restraints, but they held firm. "Look, I don't know why I'm here, but I don't want any experiments. Please, just let me go." Irina's lips curved into a faint, almost teasing smile. "Oh, you misunderstand. This is not punishment. This is opportunity." She took a slow step closer, her movements fluid, precise, almost predatory in their grace. "Your body, your mind, they fascinate me. You are unique." Kale's heart pounded. He had read about alien physiology in his field manuals, studied countless reports of other species, but nothing had prepared him for this. The energy she radiated was overwhelming, like a current brushing against every nerve in his body. He felt simultaneously terrified and drawn in. "What kind of experiment?" he asked cautiously, trying to mask the tremor in his voice. "Observation," Irina said, circling him like a predator inspecting its prey. "I am learning how humans respond to stimuli they do not understand, to environments they cannot control. You are very informative." Her gaze lingered on his eyes, searching, probing, reading. "And yet there is more: curiosity, adaptation, courage. These traits are rare." Kale swallowed hard, sensing the duality of her words. She called it an experiment, but the undertone was intimate, almost personal. Her attention was unnerving. "And what happens if I don't cooperate?" he asked. "Then the experiment fails," she said softly, almost whispering. "But I think you will cooperate. You are not like others. You are fascinating." Irina's presence was overpowering, but not in a threatening way, not exactly. There was a strange tension in the air, electric and intoxicating. Kale realized he couldn't look away, even if he wanted to. Every movement she made drew his gaze, every word she spoke resonated inside him in ways he couldn't define. She extended a delicate, iridescent hand toward him. "Relax," she said. "I do not wish you harm, I wish understanding, and perhaps something more." Kale's mind spun. Something more, was it his imagination? Her aura seemed to tease at a boundary he had never crossed before. "Understanding what?" he asked, trying to regain some semblance of control. Irina knelt slightly, lowering her height to his level. Her eyes softened, though the intensity never faded. "You, human, I wish to know you, to learn what makes you exceptional." There was a pause, a silent moment charged with a tension that both excited and terrified him. Kale realized with a shock that he wasn't just a subject in her experiment, he was intriguing her, and that realization sent a shiver down his spine. "Do you do this to all humans?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. Irina shook her head slowly. "No, most humans are predictable. They respond to fear, to stimuli, but you are different. Your reactions are complex. Your mind is fascinating." She leaned closer, her breath brushing against his ear, though there was no wind, no sound, just the sensation. "You are rare, Kale Ren." His pulse raced. How did she know his name? And why did it feel like she was seeing him, through and through, peeling back layers of thought he didn't even realize existed? I don't understand," he whispered, more to himself than to her. "You will," Irina said, rising gracefully and stepping back. "By the end of this experiment, you will understand much more than you expect, about yourself and about me." Kale's mind spun. Confusion, fear, and a strange, undeniable attraction twisted together, making it hard to think clearly. One thing was certain. This night on the alien research station would change him forever. And somehow, he knew he would never be able to forget the alien girl with the curious, piercing eyes who had chosen him for something far beyond a mere experiment. Cale barely had time to process Arena's words before the room shifted around him. The walls shimmered, the floor beneath him seemed to ripple like liquid, and soft hums filled the air, vibrating through his bones. His restraints loosened slightly, not enough to escape, but enough for him to feel the alien technology actively working on him. Arena circled him again, her movements fluid and mesmerizing. "Now," she said softly, almost a whisper, "the experiment begins in earnest." Cale's heart thudded in his chest. He had expected questions, tests of memory or logic, but this was different. A faint energy field hummed against his skin, tingling with every nerve ending. Colors he had never seen danced across the walls, reacting to his slightest movement. Every sense was being probed, tested, amplified. What is this?" he asked, voice trembling, unsure whether to be terrified or in awe. Arena smiled faintly, crouching to meet his gaze. "Your body, Cale. Humans react strongly to stimuli, visual, auditory, tactile. I wish to see how you respond. Your mind is complex, fascinating. You will endure. You will adapt." Cale tried to move, to push against the invisible restraints, but each attempt was countered by a gentle pulse that held him in place. It wasn't cruel. It was precise, almost intimate in the way it guided him without hurting. But that only heightened the sense of exposure. He was entirely at her mercy. Then she touched him. Just a finger on his shoulder, light, almost ethereal, yet a surge of warmth shot through him like fire coursing along nerves he didn't know existed. He flinched instinctively, but his body betrayed him, alert, alive, responding in ways he had never imagined. "Focus," Arena whispered. "Observe yourself, notice everything." Cale's vision blurred, shifting as the energy field altered reality around him. He saw multiple versions of himself, each reacting differently to the sensations she imposed. Some were frightened, some defiant, some strangely exhilarated. The sensation was dizzying, overwhelming, yet his curiosity pushed him forward. "You are doing well," she murmured, brushing against his arm again. The contact was fleeting, yet it left an imprint on his senses. Humans rarely endure this long, rarely with such composure. "You intrigue me." Cale's mind raced. Intrigue, curiosity, fear, desire, all tangled together. He realized that the experiment wasn't just physical, it was psychological, probing his instincts, his reactions, even the parts of him he kept hidden from himself. "Why me?" he whispered, nearly lost in the overwhelming sensation. "Why am I different?" Arena's eyes softened for a moment, a faint trace of something unreadable crossing her face. "Because, Cale Wren, you are more than just human. Stronger than most, clever than most, braver than most. And perhaps there is something else I am yet to discover." The room pulsed with energy as she raised her hands. The lights around him brightened and dimmed in rhythm with his heartbeat. His chest rose and fell faster with every surge. Cale realized he was being tested. His endurance, his control, his adaptability, all under her watchful, mesmerizing gaze. "You will learn," she whispered, leaning close, "that the limits you believe you have are merely the boundaries I will redefine." Cale shivered. Every fiber of his being screamed caution, yet he couldn't look away. Every move she made, every word, was a puzzle, a challenge, a seduction of his mind and body at the same time. He was trapped, yet strangely willing. The alien girl was no ordinary scientist. She was something far beyond comprehension, and he was at the center of her fascination. Hours, or perhaps minutes, time lost all meaning, passed. Cale endured the tests, the sensory manipulations, the gentle, probing touches. And with each passing moment, he felt himself changing. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. The alien's experiment was more than science. It was a mirror, reflecting who he truly was beneath the surface. Finally, Arena stepped back, her gaze never leaving his. "Remarkable," she said softly. "You have endured, you have adapted, you have intrigued me more than I expected." Cale's body trembled, drained yet alive in ways he had never experienced. "And now what?" he asked, his voice raw, vulnerable. She smiled, a slow, deliberate curve of lips that sent another ripple of awareness through him. "Now we see just how far your uniqueness can take you." Cale realized with a mixture of dread and thrill that this night was far from over. The experiment had only just begun, and the alien girl, Arena, was not finished exploring him. And somehow, he wanted her to continue. Cale could feel the weight of Arena's gaze like a tangible force pressing against his chest. He had endured the sensory barrage, survived the strange manipulations of the alien chamber. But now, something deeper was stirring. It wasn't just the experiment anymore. "Why me?" he asked again, more insistently this time. His voice trembled, not from fear, but from the dizzying intensity of the experience. "What makes me so different from all the others?" Irina paused, tilting her head. For a moment she simply studied him, the glow of her eyes reflecting across his skin. "Because," she said slowly, "most humans are predictable. You are not. You react, you adapt. You resist in ways that intrigue me." Her hand brushed the air near his temple, not touching him directly, but the effect was immediate. His mind felt raw, every thought amplified, every emotion sharper than it had ever been. "I don't understand," he whispered, trying to shake off the strange disorientation. "I'm just me." "No," Irina replied softly. "You are more than yourself. You are a specimen, yes, but also a challenge, a puzzle. You force me to see beyond my expectations." Her fingers finally grazed his shoulder this time, light, delicate, but the jolt it sent through him made his chest tighten. Cale's pulse raced. The chamber seemed to shrink, the lights dimming to focus on them alone. He realized she wasn't just observing him, she was probing his essence, seeking the core of what made him human and perhaps the part of him he had never revealed to anyone. "You're studying me," he said, trying to keep his voice steady, "but it feels personal, like you want more than data." Irina's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Observation often becomes fascination. I find that humans are complicated creatures, and you, Cale Wren, are extraordinary." She stepped closer, close enough that he could feel the subtle warmth radiating from her, the faint pulse of energy that seemed synchronized with his own heartbeat. Cale swallowed hard. His mind screamed caution, but the strange magnetism she exuded made it nearly impossible to pull away. "Extraordinary for what?" he murmured. "For understanding and perhaps for companionship," she replied. Her voice was barely audible, yet every word struck him with clarity. "You endure, you adapt, you survive, and yet I sense a curiosity in you that mirrors my own." A shiver ran down Cale's spine. He realized that Irina's experiment was no longer just about testing his limits. It had become a dialogue of wills, a silent negotiation of trust, curiosity, and attraction. Every touch, every glance was a question. Every reaction of his answered it in ways he didn't even fully comprehend. "You're dangerous," he admitted softly, his chest heaving, "and I don't know if I should want this." Irina's eyes sparkled, a mixture of amusement, challenge, and something deeper he couldn't name. "Dangerous," she mused. "Perhaps, but so are you in ways you do not yet realize, and desire is a tool, Cale. A force that reveals truth." The air between them crackled. Cale felt exposed in a way he had never known, yet strangely alive. The restraints no longer seemed merely physical, they were a boundary of trust, a stage upon which the experiment, and perhaps something more, was unfolding. "You watch me," Cale whispered, almost breathless. "And I watch you, I feel things I don't understand." Irina reached forward, gently cupping his jaw. "Exactly, that is the purpose of the experiment. To strip away fear, hesitation, pretense, until only the truth remains. And the truth is, you intrigue me." Cale's head tilted under her touch, a mix of defiance and fascination sparking in his chest. He realized he wasn't just surviving the experiment. He was part of it now, actively shaping it with every glance, every heartbeat, every tremor of thought she elicited. "And what if I can't endure more?" he asked, voice low, trembling with anticipation and uncertainty. Irina's smile deepened, soft yet commanding. "Then we discover new limits together. You will learn that the experiment is not only mine, it is ours." Cale's breath caught. Together, the word reverberated through him, merging fear, thrill, and something dangerously close to desire. For the first time, he realized that he no longer wanted to escape. He wanted to understand, to endure, and to meet her challenge. And in that moment, amid the pulsing alien lights and the hum of the research station, Cale understood something fundamental. This experiment was far more than science. It was a connection, a test of will and heart, and the alien girl before him, Irina, was no ordinary observer. She was a force of nature, and he was about to be consumed. The chamber pulsed around Cale like a living organism. Every surface shimmered, responding to his presence as if the station itself were alive. He could feel the hum beneath his feet, the subtle vibrations resonating through his bones, urging him to move, or perhaps daring him to resist. Irina stepped closer, her form bathed in the iridescent glow of the alien lights. "Now," she whispered, her voice like liquid silk. We move beyond observation. Kale's pulse quickened. He knew the experiment had been challenging before, but the air between them now felt charged with something far more intimate. The energy around him responded to her touch, her motion, even her breath, and he could feel the alien technology amplifying every sensation. You will feel things you have never felt before, she murmured, circling him. Your mind, your body, they will be tested beyond limits, and yet you will endure. Kale swallowed hard. He wanted to resist, to step back, but every instinct betrayed him. Her presence was magnetic, impossible to ignore, and the subtle brush of energy against his skin made him shiver. I don't know if I can handle this, he admitted, voice trembling. Irina's eyes softened, but the intensity never faded. That is why I chose you, she said, leaning in. Her fingers hovered over his chest, not touching, yet Kale felt the warmth ripple through him. You are rare, strong, curious, and adaptable. Everything about you invites the unknown. The room shifted again, lights flickering in rhythm with his heartbeat. Strange shapes danced across the walls, echoing his movements. Kale realized he was no longer just a subject. He was a participant in a dynamic interaction. Every breath he took, every reaction he made fed into the experiment, feeding Irina's fascination. She touched his arm lightly, and a jolt of energy ran through him, leaving him trembling. Notice yourself, she whispered, her lips close to his ear. Notice how your body reacts, how your mind reacts, how your fear mixes with something else. Kale's breath caught something else. The words echoed in his chest as he realized what he was feeling. Awe, fascination, attraction, and a strange, forbidden thrill that made him both terrified and exhilarated. You are human, Irina continued, circling him like a predator. But even humans are capable of extraordinary responses. Tonight you will see how far you can go and what you are willing to accept. Her hand brushed against his shoulder again, more deliberately this time, and Kale felt a surge of awareness that made his knees weak. The sensation was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Every nerve seemed alive, hypersensitive, reacting to the faintest stimulus. I don't know if I can, he whispered again, the words catching in his throat. You can, she said softly, her fingers finally grazing his chest. The contact was gentle, but the effect was immediate, a pulse of energy that left him dizzy, awed, and strangely compliant. And you will, because the unknown is thrilling, and you are part of it now. Hours or minutes, he couldn't tell, passed in a blur of sensation, tests, and subtle intimacy. Irina pushed him to his limits, not with cruelty, but with precision. Each moment was designed to provoke, challenge, and reveal. Kale endured it all, his fear melting into fascination, his resistance giving way to an odd exhilaration. Finally, Irina stepped back, watching him with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. Remarkable, she said, voice low, almost reverent. You have survived more than most. You have adapted. You intrigue me more than I anticipated. Kale collapsed to his knees, exhausted yet alive in a way he had never known. His chest heaved, his skin tingled, and his mind raced with the intensity of the experience. He realized the experiment was far from over, but something had changed. The alien girl, Irina, was no longer just a scientist observing him. She had become a force he couldn't resist, a challenge he willingly accepted, and a presence that left him utterly captivated. And in that moment, Kale understood the truth of the night. The experiment was no longer only hers. It was theirs. The chamber hummed with energy, alive and responsive, as Irina leaned down close to him, whispering words that made his pulse race. You are extraordinary, Kale Wren, and this night has only just begun. Kale's chest heaved as he slowly rose to his feet, still trembling from the intensity of Irina's tests. The chamber seemed to pulse with life around him, responding to every movement, every breath. He had endured the sensory onslaught, the physical manipulations, and the subtle psychological games, but now he sensed something different. Irina watched him with an intensity that made him shiver, her luminous eyes locking onto his like a predator admiring its prey, but there was more than observation in them now. Admiration, curiosity, and perhaps something dangerously close to desire. You have adapted, she said softly, circling him slowly. Few humans could endure what you have, fewer still would emerge changed, and yet here you are, alive, stronger, alert, intriguing. Kale swallowed hard, his mind spinning. And what now? He asked, his voice raw. Have I passed, or is this experiment never-ending? Irina's smile was slow, deliberate, and it sent a ripple of tension through him. Passed, she echoed. Oh, Kale, the experiment has evolved. It was never just about endurance. It was about discovery and potential. Potential, Kale echoed, confused. For me. She nodded, stepping closer. The air around them shimmered as she moved, the alien energy brushing against him, heightening every sense. Yes, you have proven yourself exceptional, not merely a subject, not merely a participant. You have impressed me. Kale felt a mix of awe and disbelief. Impressed how? Arena's hands rose, delicate and commanding. With your resilience, your curiosity, your courage, you faced the unknown without faltering, and in doing so you have demonstrated qualities rare even among your kind. Kale's heart pounded. And what does that mean for me? She smiled faintly, her fingers tracing a faint arc through the air in front of him, and the chamber seemed to respond, lights shifting and pulsing in sync with her gesture. It means you are ready for more, ready to take a place few humans ever have, ready to ascend. Kale's brow furrowed. Ascend. Arena stepped close enough that he could feel the warmth of her presence, the subtle pull of her energy against his skin. Yes, she whispered. You have endured the experiment, you have survived the challenges, and now you are worthy of recognition, worthy of a crown. The word hit Kale like a shockwave. A crown. He repeated, disbelief and excitement colliding in his chest. She nodded, her gaze unwavering. A symbol of authority, of respect, of potential realized. You came here as a subject, Kale Wren. But now, you are something more. You are a king. Kale staggered slightly, the weight of her words sinking in. The chamber around him seemed to amplify the moment, lights brightening as though celebrating the revelation. He had come to this alien station as a human explorer, vulnerable and untested, but now the path before him had changed entirely. You mean me? He asked, voice barely audible, a mix of awe and disbelief. Yes, Arena said softly, brushing her hand against his shoulder, the contact light but electrifying. Not by birth, not by conquest, but by endurance, by courage, and by your own strength. You have earned this place, Kale Wren. And I am placing it upon you. Her hands hovered for a moment, a ceremonial gesture, and then she traced the outline of a crown that shimmered into existence, suspended in the air before him. Light and energy coalesced, forming the shape of authority and power. Kale reached out hesitantly, awe coursing through him as the alien crown hovered, ready to rest upon his head. I don't know what to say, he whispered. Then say nothing, Arena replied, her eyes softening. Let this night and this honor speak for itself. As the crown settled upon him, a surge of energy coursed through Kale, intertwining with the alien station itself. He felt strength, awareness, and clarity unlike anything he had known before. The experiment had tested him, challenged him, and now it had elevated him. And through it all, Arena remained by his side, her fascination undimmed, her admiration evident, her presence both comforting and commanding. Kale Wren, once a human explorer, once a subject, now stood as king. And the alien girl who had chosen him for this night would not let him forget it. The alien girl who had chosen him for this night would not let him forget it.